You're listening to Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine from the X-Men the Animated Series, 92 to 97. Soon to be X-Men 97 on Disney+. You're listening to Canned Air Podcast, Bub. You better listen up, because I hate wasting my breath and my voice for fans who don't listen. These guys are the best. Listen up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canned Air, your tribute to pop culture. I am Jeremy Colley, and what we're bringing you this week is a conversation we had a little over a year ago, February 12th in 2023. The audio version has been out since then, but this is the first time we're putting the video out. We have a lot of back videos from back in the days when we were only concerned about capturing audio. We were still recording the video, we were just sitting on it. With really no plans to release it, as you'll tell by our background and what we're wearing and how we're sitting, etc., etc. But all the same, a great conversation that wanted to show you guys after all this time. Our guest today has done so many cool things over the span of his career, including voicing Slappy the Dummy from the Goosebumps series back in the 90s, Rip Rockefeller from Rescue Heroes. He was a singing doozer in Fraggle Rock. And on top of that, he's a hell of a great singer and musician who's made all kinds of great music over the years, including his own self-titled album right there, Cal Dodd. His biggest credit of all, what he's known best for, as you've already seen by the cover, the voice of Wolverine from the original X-Men animated series and X-Men 97. And at the time this was recorded, all his work for season 1 was done. It just hadn't obviously aired yet. So it's really cool to hear him talk about getting back into that character, what it was like to step back into Wolverine for this amazing show we've all been getting from Disney+. Can't wait for season 2. But our guest today is voice actor and musician Cal Dodd. And, again, want to thank him for stopping by, because what a great conversation it was. I would love to talk to him again. But I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did. Before I cut you over to it, though, don't forget to find us on Twitter at CannedAirPod, on Instagram at Canned_Air, and on TikTok at Canned Air Podcast. And if you head over to CannedAirPodcast.com, there's a few different ways you can support us. Patreon tab, merch tab, I think those are pretty self-explanatory, as well as check up on some of our past episodes, some of our special guests, all kinds of stuff on the website. So check that out. And evergreenpodcast.com, the network we're proud to be a part of with so many other great shows. Check them out. And I think that's all I had to rattle off before I cut you over to the episode. So let's get to our conversation with Cal Dodd. Cal, thank you so much for taking time to be here. I can't tell you what a thrill it is for all of us, and I'm sure the listeners, to have Wolverine on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I love doing these things. I don't mean to call them these things, but your show and shows like it, I love doing it, because the fans I would kill for, Bub, because they're everything. I mean, it's just, I love going to cons for that reason, as I cannot get enough of them. They're just so sincere and fantastic that I just, and I go with my wife. She sits with me and I love it, because the fans come up and say, first off, sir, I just want to say, and it's always sir, and we're from Canada. You don't say that here. Anyway, they said that, and I keep saying that to them. They said, okay, sir, I won't do that. First off, I just need to thank you and want to thank you for making my childhood. And some of them, it goes as far as saying, thank you. I just have to thank you for saving my life. And, and Donna, my wife's like, oh, I've had enough of this. This is just, oh boy, much. He'll never be, this thing is growing and growing. Yeah. Still, I would do these forever. I would do these shows like yours forever. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I love the opportunity to be with you guys.
Thank you, man. That means so much to hear. And it's awesome to also hear how appreciative you are of the fan base. Because, man, what a fan base X-Men has. It's incredible.
Oh, it is absolutely incredible. Yeah. Like I tell you, everyone, and I'm going on hundreds of Comic-Cons. We started just about 2 years before COVID hit. And, of course, the last 2 years, it's been none for 2 years.
Right.
It was just this kind of thing, maybe, but very little of that even. And then it's slowly coming back now, which we just love it. It's a chance to see all these places in the U.S. we've been to Wales. I've been to Dublin, where I
Wow.
was born, Dublin, Ireland, and stuff. And it's insane. And you know what's really more insaner is that we have never ever done one in Canada.
No
Really?
kidding.
Really?
All the voices, Wolverine, Beast, all of us are Canadian. No, not one have we done here. And I
That
just
is
asked,
strange.
yeah, they just tried to book me for one. This is great for one in September in London, Ontario, where I went to school for 3 years. In London, Ontario, it was really like my brother lives there. And I couldn't because of, I've got two other bookings, and one's and it's in Maine or something, or Minnesota that same weekend. What? It's just stupid, but it's going to get crazy, and it's just starting now. We go to Chicago in about 3 weeks. It's huge,
Oh, yeah.
apparently. So
C2E2, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome.
I thought it was something from a Star Wars.
Sounds like it.
Sounds like a droid, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I never thought about that. Well,
Anyway, so I love the fans. I just can't say enough about them because they're the reason we're here.
man. Well, we love you too, man. It's again incredible to talk to you, and I can't wait to pick your brain about Wolverine a little bit here. But there's some other stuff I would like to touch on first, if it's all right with you. Mainly like your singing career and your beginnings. I'd read online that your mother, Maureen Dodd, was a music teacher at Port Dover Public Schools, and that your family contributed quite a bit musically to the Port Dover area. So I was curious if you could tell us about your family's involvement with music, and how old were you when you started singing and kind of playing with your voice?
I was 3.
Wow.
I was singing probably as soon as I could open my mouth, but because my mother was an unbelievable voice, and my father as well, but not like mom's. Mom's was like exceptional. And she was a music teacher, vocal music teacher. And when we were growing up, she taught piano in the house as well, because Dad there were problems with and
gotcha.
there were 5 of us, and my youngest brother Sean was born blind and deaf, which cost so much money to because he couldn't eat anything but Gerber baby food. And it was just God love him, and it was just so we loved him to like a little angel that we had all of a sudden, this poor child. And so we started singing because they were from Ireland. We all came. Barry, Fiona, and myself were born in Ireland, and Rory and Sean were born when we got to Port Dover, because we came right from Dublin, Ireland, to this 3,200 populated people on Lake Erie, the largest freshwater lake fishing fleet on the planet at one point. And it's still, the fishing tugs, it's just crazy driving into that joint. But Mom was a music teacher, didn't start teaching music until she sort of had to because of the problem. So because she had she had us to raise, well, the 2 of them. And it didn't seem that bad to us, but then it did get worse. The problem with booze.
Sure.
So Mom taught all of us from the age of whatever. 2 of us took to it immediately. There was 1 girl, Fiona, and 4 boys. 3 boys, Sean, of course. But so, and we sang as a family. We would travel around this cute Irish family, singing at Liberal campaigns, and then go across the street to the Conservative campaigns and just sing the lyrics to these old Irish songs. And it was hilarious. And it went on like that. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And watching Elvis Presley, I said, I'm going to do something like that. Like that, I just love singing. That's all we did. Sitting at the table, you wouldn't just say pass the butter. It would be like, could I have the butter, please? And someone found please, which there'd be 3-part harmony, and that kind of silly crap. And so I got sidetracked in that. I went to a boarding school, a junior seminary for 3 years in London, Ontario. That didn't work out. Came back to the high school in my hometown, finished that. And my father said, we can't afford to send you to university, because I wanted to be a phys ed teacher and go to Michigan, a school, Ann Arbor, to go to university. He said, what the hell do you think? What do you think we have money growing out of our arses? I said, well, no, no, but I haven't looked. He said, so that was the end of my phys ed thing. And he said, no, you'll be a chartered accountant. So right at the age of 17, I went into a CA office from 8 to 5 every day for 3 years until my father died. My father died, and it was bink out of there so fast. I got a guitar player, went to Toronto, auditioned at CBC radio, and that was it. They just went, who and where did you come from? Because I just had a guitar player and I sang like a bunch of 4, 5, 6 different tunes for them. They made a record with me that they could use on their programming for a year. I told you this is going to be a long story. And then,
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So that immediately turned into doing a record with them, like 3 sides. And I got to get strings and in a studio with some of the top players in Toronto whom I met, and they loved me. And they wondered, where are you? I said, Port Dover. What do you don't know where that is? What, did you ever travel? Well, yeah, but how many people there, Cal? Well, 3,250. Okay. That's why we don't go there.
Right.
But beautiful town, beautiful and wonderful people. And in the summer, it ballooned from 3 grand people up to 15,000 because everyone had cottages there. And that's what it was, all summer people. And hence that song, see you in September, when I see you when the summer's through. Here we are, bye, baby, goodbye. Meant a lot because you'd meet a girl in the summer and she'd have to go back in September. And, she'd cry and she'd leave. But she'd be back the next year. Singing. So I started, so my brother Rory was still back in Port Dover, working in the beer store across from where we lived. I could talk about him for an hour. And so I got this gig some guy wrote, I did an album, first of all, they said, and CBC TV said, we want you to close off the 20th anniversary of the CBC with like Lauren Green was there and Robert Goulet and all the guys that started with the CBC. And here I am, this kid from Port Dover, and I'm the last person you hear, and I'm singing a B.J. Thomas, but Paul Williams wrote it. It was called "Isn't That What Friends Are For?" Yeah, "Isn't That What Friends Are For?" And it was very cool. So it was the very first thing I ever did. And all of a sudden, I did take 10 different TV shows, like a guest appearance of singing all the time.
Right.
And then got involved with this singing group, like a Ray Conniff singer sort of thing. And then went to Charlottetown because some guy wrote a rock opera of Hamlet based on my voice. So I played Hamlet. And I hired Rory, who's still in the beer store, to play Horatio, who's Hamlet's best friend. And when they heard Rory sing, they went, Jesus, is there a factory in Dover with you guys? Like, what's up with that? Because so Rory ends up, like, so long story, very short, and I know it's a little late for that. So we went to Charlottetown for a whole summer, Rory and I, his first experience doing anything. And I'm Hamlet, he's that thing. And he had to do 2 shows at the same time all through the summer. And then New York picked it up. The New York, I was going to say the Yankees came down, and the New York producers came to Charlottetown, saw the show, and say, we want this. Took it to Broadway. I wasn't sure. They kept calling me, and I said, because I had joined a group that was replacing Three Dog Night in the States. Skip Prokop from a group called Lighthouse put it together. 3 singers, myself and 2 other guys, and to replace Three Dog because they had just folded. And the guys in New York were like, that was such a money-making organization, Three Dog Night. So, I did 2 albums with them, but I'm in New York recording that, and Rory is there in New York with the show that went to New York, and they now called it Rockabye Hamlet. And they were all working on it. And Rory, because Bev D'Angelo, who was in Charlottetown with us, and I was dating her when I was doing the album in New York. We were like seeing each other because Beverly D'Angelo was like in our production, and she's in the show with Rory. And the other guy that was in the show that came on the show from New York, of course, was Meatloaf or Alan Ade. So Rory meets Meatloaf, and the show on opening night, I was there with the band, our rock group, and I brought them to see the show. And there's reporters running after me saying, this is the guy that should be up there singing Hamlet instead of that half-assed Tom Jones that's up there. That's up there. And the guys in the band were like, what? What have you been doing, Cal? Yeah, another story. So Rory, it closes opening night. This is the premieres that we were watching. The show premiere, before the show opens for real. and the people loved it. Liz Taylor and they were all there and loved the show. Clive Barnes, opening night, just panned the show. He had a personal thing with the director of the show, so opening night, boom, they're at Sardi's, 3 a.m. Cliff Jones, the writer, he's told the news that he's in tears, and that was the end of that. So Rory goes with Meatloaf and Jim Steinman, and away they go. They put Meatloaf together, and Rory was with the band forever, the background singer, like we're gonna go all the way tonight. We're gonna go all the way tonight. We're gonna go all the way tonight. We're gonna go with Rory. The other guy's name, God, I forget. I can't remember. And Ellen Foley, I think, who was the female singer. Like, stop right there before we go any further. Do you love me? You know that.
Yeah.
Great records. And so Rory toured the world with that band, and then came back and did from then on was doing demos with Steinman. And one night, Steinman, he was doing demos like forever, just for new stuff for different artists that Jim's writing, including stuff for a new Meatloaf album, just doing the demos so Meat can hear a singer sing it as opposed to scream it or yell it. So Rory's about to leave and it's 2 a.m. They call Rory Ice because he's from Canada. Jim Steinman said, "Hey Ice, can you mind singing this thing? I'm doing this record with Bonnie Tyler. Can you just sing?" And Rory said, "Jim, it's 2 a.m. He said, "It'll only take you 20 minutes. He said, "Okay, what is it?" He said, "It's just this thing I'm writing for Bonnie Tyler." So he does it, and he's finished in like 25 minutes. And he ends up on the Grammys with Bonnie Tyler, and he's up at the top, and it's about 50 steps up, and they open on him because he's the first line you hear in the song is, "Turn around every now and then."
Oh, shit.
Turn around,
totally fits in the heart.
Bright eyes.
Every now and then I fall apart. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's totally clips to the heart. So, and that's what he did, and he did Uptown Girl with Billy Joel.
No kidding.
All the backgrounds. Uptown. Yeah. And James Taylor albums, and he was doing everything, backgrounds and stuff, because he had such a unique voice and very, very high tenor. Yeah. And I just stayed in Toronto and did commercials, which I loved. Jingles, worked up to the top jingle singer in this country, singing everything, bras, beer, flying all over the place to sing and stuff for anything, and loved it. I got a TV show then for 5 years, which was a circus TV show with Leslie Nielsen. Did the pilot with us. Excuse me. Leslie Nielsen did the pilot with us, and there was my girl, Charisse Lawrence, myself. It was a mimic of Donnie and Marie Osmond. I was Donnie, she was Marie, and we looked. It was amazing. Like, it was like the looks were. But that's what they did. Donnie and Marie had a show. We met Donnie and Marie when we went to LA to Vegas to sell the show on Viacom. Cerise and I went there and stood there like mannequins with this outfit on, with a circus outfit, like with a red jacket, white tight pants, and the boots up to there and stuff. But it was full of music. We had 6 dancers. It was a great show. It was syndicated worldwide on Viacom, and that went on for 5 years, like I said, and then back to doing commercials, and I got a couple of other TV shows. No more theater though, and walked into the studio, went doing a commercial, and in 1992, and the girl said, "Cal, would you like to audition for this thing?" I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's a voice thing," and I hadn't done a voice. Right. I had done one TV voiceover commercial for Chrysler that lasted for 1.5 to 2 years, and I couldn't believe the amount of money that voiceover people were making as compared to singers. Singers never got paid more than scale, ever, except when I would do, if they wanted a Tom Waits, which I did once, and Mr. Waits was on the phone about 2 weeks after it was released.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, take that off the air. You can't do it. I don't want my voice and people sounding like me, which, that's fine, and that's wonderful that he's like that. But, for Molson Canadian, that commercial was like for a beer and stuff that I did his voice.
They had to cut your voice up, too. I mean, that's a gravelly voice.
Oh, yeah, but I do them like that. And Michael McDonald, the same. But Waits is like, "What becomes of all the little boys who never comb the hair. They line up all around the block on the nickel over there. That kind of
Oh
stuff.
my
And of course, he didn't want
God.
that. And
That was
so I
so
got
good.
maybe scale and a half to do that kind of a voice. But other than that, singers got scale. This gig for Chrysler was double automatically, if not 2.5. And it was just stupid money for 1.5 to 2 years. And then that's the only voiceover I'd done. So this, the girl, Karen Gura, who was casting for X-Men, said, "Would you like to try an audition for this thing?" I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's called Project X."
I wonder what that could have been.
Is it dirty?
I know.
Yeah.
I got bit by a dog too. And Project X. And she said, but she had to tell me because it's a thing about X-Men. I said, who? She said, the X-Men. I said, well, okay, whoever they are. And she said, so just go. They'll show you. They've got stuff, and you're auditioning for the voice of Wolverine. And I said, Wolverine. And this is a true story. So I get there, and they show me this picture, and it wasn't done like this because this is the very first cell of Wolverine
Wow.
for our series. That is like the first Wolverine, and I loved it. They gave me two copies of that cell, and I took pictures of it. I take this to Comic Cons, and they just love it.
Yeah, that'd be incredible to have.
And they showed me that picture. And I said, who is he? They said, well, he's an X-Men, and he's the only Canadian X-Men. And I said, well, good, I guess. I don't know. They said, he's 5'3", and I said, oh, big fella. 5'3", he said, built like a brick crap house, and is very, very true to his friends, and is very ornery and grumpy. And I said, oh, typecasting. This is perfect. Because I came from that little town I was telling you about, is fisherman and hockey player. Like we just grew up playing hockey on the ice, on the lake, even in the winter, and of course in the arena with your little Pee Wee All-Star, then on to junior C. I ended up playing, we would skate on Lake Erie. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the people, the guys. So I saw enough of guys that I stole. One of my best buddies was the toughest guy in 4 counties. And by the way, my mom taught in about 4 or 5 different counties around Port Dover singing. Okay. She went to different schools all over the place. Vocal teacher. So I knew how this guy would talk. So the first line that they gave me the piece of paper, the script, and I said, okay, so who do you hear him like? They said, well, what's this? Clint Eastwood. And I said, well, yeah, okay, but I looked at the line. I said, I can't hear him saying this because this sounds like he's got to be yelling at someone. And they said, yeah. I said, Clint Eastwood never really yelled. I've never heard him yell. It was just like, go ahead, make my day, and that kind of softness. I said, but I get the idea you're looking for that. I said, yeah. And they said, Steve McQueen. And I love that reference after getting to know Wolverine because not the size, but he's very calm and very quiet. Steve McQueen. I remember that about him. I loved him as an actor because he never had not much to say. He was, and very much like Wolverine, he's into himself and doesn't share a lot of anything with anyone except when he's pissed off. And, then that he's pissed off. And Ward Bond, which I found very odd, but I said, okay. So, but in the back of my head, because I read the line in my head and I went, do you guys remember Wolfman Jack?
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah.
From Midnight Special he was on as well.
That was an awesome show.
Yeah, so I put like Wolfman Jack, baby, coming at you. Midnight Special, baby. Put that into Wolverine's voice for a lot of the time to get the first line, especially. But I have to go up a bit in range because that's 30 years ago. So this is the first line they gave me, and I said, "So who's he talking to here? Who's he? I say yelling, saying this line to?" And they said, "This is true, Sabretooth." And I went, "What? Is this an animal cartoon?" Is this an animal cartoon or something? They said they started laughing and I said, "What?" I said, "An animal cartoon. I'm Wolverine. He's Sabretooth. They're animals?" No. When they stopped laughing, they said, "No, he's like your arch enemy, Sabretooth. You whenever as soon as you see each other, you just start fighting." He said, and he may be your long lost brother or something connection, but no one, we don't know. I said, oh, okay. So I had this guy, these lines that I've heard in my hometown, like, go ahead, punk. No, go ahead. Not make my day, but anytime, pretty boy. That great line, that line that I love. But this is the first line. All right, yeah. This is the first line that they gave me and that they heard come out of my yap. All right, you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always like pushing around people smaller than you. Well, I'm smaller. Try pushing me.
Oh, that's how you make goosebumps, man. Yeah, that's how you make goosebumps.
They all of a sudden in unison just went, holy shit. Give him some more lines. Give him some more lines, which of course they did. My favorite line, which again is probably related to the Chris McQueen, to what's his name? The first voice that
Steve McQueen.
No. That the first Clint Eastwood.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
This line. Because I remember when I read it, I went like, "This is." They said, "Yeah, it's adapted from the movie." So this is my favorite line. Oh, I got to put this on, or one of them. Yeah. So I know what you're thinking, punk. Question is, can I get Wolverine before he turns me into shish kebab with those claws? Well, bub, seeing as how these claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, and can slice through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter, buddy, you gotta ask yourself, do I feel lucky? That's it. That's Hellfire Club.
Oh, man.
I think I can die happy now.
Yeah.
He walks into the Hellfire Club, and there's a guy with a gun pointed right at him, and he walks very nonchalantly, very coolly towards him. I know what you're thinking, punk. And I just loved that line. And at that point, they lost it. They said, okay, you're finished. You can go. I said, pardon? I said, you can go. We'll be in touch. And they phoned me that night. It was so cool. At my mom's house, actually. She was still alive. And it was great to hear, so you're a Wolverine. I said, okay, I can't wait. Whoever he is. and whoever that saber-tooth guy, I'm looking to see more of him.
Right.
So that was the beginning of it. And of course, when we get into the studio, I don't know any of the guys because they're all voiceover people, and I'm a singer. And they knew of me because I had a TV show that was syndicated worldwide for 5 years, so they knew who I was. But we'd never see each other because I was in to do the singing. We would go in and sing for guys for sure an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to do the background on a beer commercial for Molson Export Ale. And us singers, we'd sing like whatever, excellent and stuff. Three girls, 3 guys across from microphones, and we'd work for an hour and a half, come out and sign for scale and group sing. That's what it was paying at. Was like, definitely less than solo sing. So we were just getting less to begin with. In would walk, and this guy was a friend of mine, so I knew him, Donnie Burns, and he would walk in, and this is all he had to say. He just walked up to the microphone. He would say, Molson X, great ale. Thank you. Goodbye. twice what we made.
Oh my God.
Well,
that's so strange how that works.
Molson X. Because voiceover people have to have agents to get to know auditions and stuff. They have to, so have that the rationale is that they have to get paid. They get paid one whole more scale because they have to pay their agent 15%. Because singers never had agents. It was just word of mouth. And people knew, oh, yeah, well, you definitely need Cal for that. And Cal for that, too. And a chipmunk Cal, you need him for that, too. Anyway, say, okay. So I loved everything I was doing. It was like singing anything. It didn't matter as long as I was singing and having fun doing it and getting paid for it, which was a bonus. It's silly. So singing, my mom just loved us when she saw to see the result of her children and stuff. And she was teaching school, and she'd get stuff to ask students, write something about someone you have respect for or that you look up to. And she would tell them all, if there was watching out for this commercial, my Cal's got a commercial on TV, and it was for butter. And it was Donovan's. They call me Mellow Yellow. Just butter it. Just butter it. I sang that, of course. That's 30 years ago, easily. And this girl wrote. She wrote that I was the one she looked up to. Mom student. I ended up singing at her wedding. Her
Oh, wow.
father was one of my best buddies growing up too, and I sang at her wedding because she said I just love Cal Dodd for singing that butter commercial.
Oh my!
So it's just been a riot, and it's been not even like working, of course, but it is.
Sure.
I would never know. It's just too much fun, kind of
Absolutely.
like this.
Oh
Yeah.
well, bless your heart for
Oh, and
saying
by the
such things, but
yeah. So let me tell you the story. When I met Hugh Jackman. So
oh
he's in
wow,
Toronto. He's in Toronto shooting the very first movie. The year was 2000. We had finished our series in 97. And so 3 years had gone sort of by, and they were all the time. But this was in the works. On the success of X-Men, the animated series, our series, this movie started. And that whole thing with Hugh and X-Men stuff was because of our little animated series.
right?
Because it was so good, our series. The writing was brilliant. And we met it. So when they had a wine and cheese, they wanted the two Wolverines to meet. So here he comes towards me, and they said, "Cal, this is our Wolverine in the live action, very first ever Wolverine people are going to see in the movies." And it's a pleasure to meet you, Hugh. And he said, "It's great to meet you too, mate. But I'm sick and tired of listening to your voice." Because, and it made sense to me. I said, "What is he talking about?" He said, "Well, they wanted the only reference of Wolverine's voice to anyone growing up for the last 5, 7, 8 years now. Then it's 2000 after our series is your voice." So he was told explicitly to listen to Cal Dodd, listen to Wolverine from the animated series voice, and please try and get close to that, if you can. And he said it was crazy. As you said, he still says that to this day. It's a great voice, but I'm just sick and tired of listening to it. So as he's leaving, I'll beat myself on this because as he's leaving, I say, "Well, it's great talking to you, Hugh." And he leaves. He said, "Well, you too, Cal, mate, and I'll see you." He turns, he walks away, and I said, in Wolverine's voice, "Hey, you," and it sounds like "Hey, you." "Hey, you." And he turned around and said, "Yeah, Cal, yep." Because I need to say the real word to get the full impact of it.
Go for it. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So he said, "Yeah, Cal." I said, "Hey, you." Yeah. "Yes." "Don't fuck this up, bub."
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he just went, "Not a chance. Not a chance."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Don't fuck this up, bub. Yeah.
Wow.
And I see him like back and forth. Don't see him. I haven't seen him since then. But I've just heard from people that he does a one-man show that he's finished about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he'd always give a shout out in the show to the original Wolverine because he would spend like 5 minutes of this singing and dancing show that he was doing to talk about Wolverine because that's what they wanted to hear,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So he just would give a shout out to the original Wolverine, Cal Dodd, in Canada and stuff, which I thought was so admirable and wonderful of him to do that. Yeah. So, and we're trying to get. There was a mention of putting the two Wolverine, myself and he, in a movie. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but they wanted me to be a bartender, as a small role in whether it was movies, like in wherever one scene or something.
Right.
Like, can I help you, bub?
Oh,
So that
man.
the fans would go ape shit. "Can I help you, pal?"
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
And they're talking about putting him in the next Deadpool film, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep an eye out for you at the bar.
Heck yeah.
I've got to jump a little way back. You obliterated all my Wolverine questions, but I love everything I heard. But one thing that you didn't mention that I read online is that you toured with Joe Cocker.
Oh yeah. That's what I forgot. Yeah. Well, with Deja Vu, with the group that that replaced Three Dog Night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was EMI capital EMI worldwide, and we had never been. We rehearsed underground for like 7 months. The band that we put together with the 3 singers, myself, and like rhythm section stuff, and sent tapes to New York, and they said super. So we went down, recorded our album, And as a result of doing that album, the first thing we did after that was tour with Joe Cocker with a band called Stuff. And those guys, those cats are just the tightest rhythm section I've ever heard. Richard Tees, Cornell Dupree, Steve Gadd on drums, the only white guy in this group. Richard Tees, who I got so close to, knew him, a brilliant pianist. Gordon Edwards on bass, Eric Gale and Cornell Dupree on guitar. These are like world famous people, and they would just sit before Cocker came on every night because we're the front band, so we would be the first act for an hour, right. And then they would be an intermission or something, and then these guys would come on, and all of them are sitting on chairs. And just very relaxed with one leg out, and I would sit in the chair off to the side backstage and just watch these guys for 20 minutes play the stuff that they were playing. Well, Stuff, and that's the name of the group. And they had an album called Stuff, and the second album was, guess what, called More Stuff. But if you could, these guys were unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. And then Green Teeth is a girl that Joe had. That was her nickname. That would make sure Joe got to stage and then pushed him on. Would start, and he'd come out and just start. She came in through the bathroom window. The band would kick it. It was just like, forget it. This is just, what am I? I'm pinching myself all the time. It was just, I died and gone to rock and roll heaven. We did that for 2 months. He and Joe would never fly. We flew
really
once. He would never fly. We had 2 huge touring buses.
Wow.
What an experience.
I can't imagine. And I was researching your band Deja Vu online.
Yeah, Deja Vu, yep.
And you guys had a hit that went around, what was it, 76, Dance?
Yeah, Dance.
Yeah. 76. I was trying to find the album, and it's completed.
That was the same year of the tour.
Okay, perfect. But I have trouble. I found 2 songs on YouTube, but other than that, it was it's really hard to find any copies of. I went and got a vinyl album off of eBay that's going to be showing up here within the next week that I'd like to digitize and listen to. But it was just so cool to find that out, especially that you guys were on the road with Joe Cocker. I'm surprised you even glazed over that in the first half of the conversation. I'd have been bragging on that. Yeah,
no, for sure. That was just, like I said, it was just pinching myself all through that tour. He was a gem, Joe. And at the last night of the tour, it's his birthday, and I thought he was 50, but it was his 30th birthday. What? And we got up and sang backgrounds with him because he just jumped. There was a local band playing in a big arena or something, and someone told him Joe Cocker's in the audience and would like to sing with you. They were like, "What? Pissed off? Like what?" This little horn band, So we got up and sang whatever. Get along with a little help from my friends or something, or feeling all right, something like that. Not feeling too good myself. But Joe thought as soon as he got up there, started taking his T-shirt off because he was he was half happy. I said, Joe, it's no, Joe, we're not. It's just we're out. It's your birthday. We've had a little bit to drink and stuff. You don't have to take your shirt off. And he looks at me and he says, "Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you?" So looped he was. And we end up back in his hotel room, and he had liquor everywhere. And this lady, Green Teeth, to make sure he's okay, doesn't OD, but too late. And there's bottles everywhere. And as he says, "Help yourself, guys," on the way out. So I don't know what the other guys took, but I went right for the bottle of tequila. And he's lying down. He's like lying straight back. And I thought he was like half passed out or asleep. And as soon as I took the bottle, it was almost at the door. He says, everything but the tequila." I said, "Okay, Joe, I just tried." He said, "That's good. No, don't take it." Well, anyway, yeah, that was a riot with him.
What a ride!
Music was definitely my life through the whole thing.
Sure, and then
Forever, still is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You put an album out, what's it, within the past 10 years, I'd say, just
Yeah,
self-titled Cal Dodd, which I
yeah.
learned about on your website, caldodd.com, which sounds, it's like a lounge kind of sound, like Frank Sinatra kind of sounding, where you're doing songs like, what was it, like Summertime, Night and Day,
Yes.
Beyond the Sea. Look, sounds awesome. Can you
At,
tell us a little bit
at,
about that
at,
album?
at last, like Etta
Yes.
James at last. It's a great vocal too on that particular cut. You know, at last now love has come
Oh,
along.
yeah.
My lonely days are over. Um, well, the guys, the local players here, Doug Riley, and specifically was internationally renowned B3 and pianist. I've never ever heard anyone play like him, the B3 or piano.
Mhm.
Uh, and mine was the last album that he did, last record that he did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, and they just all the guys, Russ Little was our music director for the circus show. And I worked with them all the time before synthesizers came in. You would see these guys and even all the string players at the recording sessions we're doing for beer, bras, cereals, two scoops of raisins in a package of Kellogg's Raisin Bran, that kind of, everything. And you
Right.
would see the real players. Well, as soon as synthesizers came in, you never saw them anymore. It was all synths.
Oh,
They didn't you never saw the string players anymore. And then
right.
eventually the horns, live sax stuff. And so they all said, we all desperately want to play for you to sing this kind of stuff. So I picked my own songs, like Summertime, which is not, that's like a bluesy thing, the way I
Sure.
did it anyway. And At Last. And then, of course, some Frank tunes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think there's 14, 15 tunes on that album.
You did
Oh, and
one
there's
on there that I only heard a snippet of it on your website, but it sounded
how,
awesome because I'd never heard it like this before. Is Let the Good Times Roll.
oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah,
really
I love
cool.
that kind of shit. That's that piano player I was talking about on that particular cut. And there's a wonderful ballad on that called "How Do You Keep the Music Playing," which is a great lyric. It's just like how do you keep the music playing? How do you keep your marriage happening and change? Keep it so it doesn't
Right.
get stagnant or whatever. But it's a wonderful tune. But yeah, "Let the Good Times Roll" is that's a great shuffle bang rock and roll tune.
Yeah. Never have I heard it in the style that it's on there. It sounds pretty cool. I'm excited to get my hands on the album. How would one do that? Just inquiring through the website
For what, my CD?
for your CD? Yes.
Well, I'll send you some.
Oh, wow. Really? That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So I'll send 3.
Shoot, thank you.
That is so
Not
freaking cool of you.
not all for you, Jeremy.
I wanted all three.
Randy,
In case I
Randy,
ruin the
no.
first two, I'll have an extra one.
Yeah. But
Well,
the
thank
keyboard
you.
player, it's worth it just to hear the keyboard player on that album and the horns. And the arranger died as well. He was way too young to die, and a genius in his own right too. Great arranger.
Right.
He would just come over to my house and we would work on the songs and put it together and just did it because I said, okay, I'll sing for you. I'll sing with you guys. Like, I was doing them a favor. I couldn't believe I was working. I couldn't believe I was working with them. It's just, oh, this is so much fun. They said, well, it's twice as much fun for us. And I recorded it all in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, which is amazing when you hear the album. 2 5-hour or 6-hour sessions. Yeah, 2 6-hour sessions
That's incredible.
on a weekend. Yeah. So, yeah, I will do that if you give me the information as to where to send that, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in an email. But
Okay,
thank
so
you so much for that.
how do you pronounce your last name? Kahle?
Tell you what, why don't you take a stab at it first?
Okay, Jeremy Colley.
Wow.
First try.
First try. Everyone always gets it wrong. They say Kaylee or Kale. You're like one of 2 people in my life to get that right, not knowing.
Wow, because AH is all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell that to half the people in Ohio here, man. They don't get it.
I think that's just
that reminds
Americans.
that reminds me of a story, which is how my name turned out to be, because I was just going to say, do you ever Colley? you ever get people barking at you and stuff?
No, but when people ask me how do I pronounce my last name, I say Collie like the dog because it's the only way to get it to stick in their head.
Exactly. I was just going to go like roof, roof. But
Yeah.
so when we came from Ireland, I went to school when it was grade 1. And my name was Cahill. It's Gaelic for Charles. Cahill James Connell Dodd. So
wow. So you know what it's like.
So there I go to school, and the teachers, and your name? Sorry, what's your name? I said Cahill. He said, and they looked at the spelling, Cathal. So, and I said, really? Well, I didn't say this because Mom had to tell them, but so initially, all of a sudden, every kid is calling me Cattle. I went home to Mom and I said, after a week, I said, "This is it. I can't take this anymore. What? Now what?" I said, "They're calling me a bovine. They're calling me a cow." Cattle. I said, yeah. And she said, "Cow." I said, "Yeah, that fella." She said, "Okay, all right." But so they changed it to. She went to the school and said, "Call him Cal, Cal." That was the end of that.
Wow.
So yeah,
I know that pain though. Not as bad as you do though, but yeah, I know what it's like. Like. Man. Well, thank you for that.
You that, Jeremy.
I'm glad you did because it turned out humorous, didn't it? But, we got to get back to touching on Wolverine a little bit more. I know Randy's got some questions here for you.
Just circling back in the course of making the animated series, I know, or I had read that one of your favorite episodes was with the one with Nightcrawler. I was just curious what kind of stuck out to you on that one, and if there were any other like standout moments.
Mainly that Wolverine, and it's very touching for Wolverine. He ends up in in front of the altar in the church in France.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was kind of hard when I was doing that because as I told you, I was in a junior seminary for grade 9, 10, and 11, thinking I was going to be a priest, which didn't happen. Obviously, yeah. So this was like. I had to say lines like, "So where's your God now?" To Nightcrawler, who of course was always very calm. "This is the fine Wolverine. Nothing. See, use different eyes. This is all just bricks and mortar. This will be. This is not like the human soul and body. This is bricks and mortar. It can be fixed and built up, unlike the human." He said, "Use different eyes, Logan." And he gave them the book, the Bible, with special excerpts marked and stuff. And Wolverine is just doesn't know what to say to that. "Where's your God now?" He was just finished saying that. Like, and he gets to sit and starts. I'd never talked in his voice like that, like reading from the Bible, and it was like weird to try and find where's that going to come from, because he's not not so much gravel,
right?
And it was just like, "And I will try harder to be the person you want me to be." I've been coughing for like 2 weeks now, so it's a bit more gravelly than it should be. So I've getting a chance to be like in front of an altar and doing that. It was just for me. It was for Wolverine. I really felt for him, like, wow. He's actually like learning and he loves reading this, and it's making him at peace, and he's got a bit of a smile on his, or smirk on his face, but and not a tear. But then at the back of the church is Rogue, and she's standing there, and I love the way that episode ended too, because it leaves Wolverine, and the camera comes out, and as he's like praying, kneeling down. And it cuts on Rogue, and she's got a tear coming down her cheek from her eye, and it goes black. And I said, "Wow, what a great episode!" And I loved Nightcrawler. I loved the voice that he came up with, and it was just I just thought it was a very cool episode.
Exactly. Very, very heavy tones too.
Pardon?
Very heavy tones to it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
being on that it was like on with like after school and Saturday morning cartoons. That's some heavy stuff to lay on kids, you know?
Oh yeah, no kidding. Aside from the second episode when they kill Morph,
Yeah.
Oh,
but they told them and they got in a lot of trouble. Not trouble, but they were so. What are you doing? You can't. This is for children. You can't kill someone like this. They said we can, and we did. And children, we're not writing down to children, nor will we. This needs they'll meet this in their life, whether it's their dog, whether it's their brother, someone, their mom, a friend is going to die, pass away on them, as it happens to all of us. And that's just one thing that they were so honest about. The writers, they said, no, this is a learning moment, as
Sure.
much as it hurt, because the reaction to that was like instantaneous with the fans. Well, no,
Wow.
you can't. What are you doing?
right.
So
I had also read online that you had a conversation with George Buza in around 2019, coming up on his first con appearance, that he hadn't seen any of the episodes, and you
Who?
had kind of Buza. I'm sorry, yeah. That he hadn't seen any of the episodes, and you kind of insisted to him, like, look, if you're going to Comic-Con, you need to see them because the fans are going to grill you. I was just curious how that exchange went.
yeah, he when I talked to George, said, George, you gotta start coming with me. This is a riot. And there wasn't that much work happening and stuff. And he said, and this is they give you money. And it was like, I beg your pardon. And that's the way he talks, that very solemn, like Wolverine, Logan, the keys, whatever. tell him I'll buy him a new door. He was he said, well, what do you mean? I said, you just sit. Well, what if no one comes up? He said, well, he said, but I haven't, as you say, I haven't seen any of the episodes since we did them. He said, I don't even know if I watched them back then. I said, well, do yourself a favor. You can buy that Bluetooth stuff. Do that. And start coming with me. And which he did. And I have his first autograph that he signed. He was sitting beside me. There's only the two of us at the thing. And I made sure that the first person went up and he was, and paid him actual money. The stuff I was filming it. And he did and he was just, just beaming. And that big face and big head of his. He looks like a biker. And it was wonderful to see that. And he just loves doing it now. Just loves it.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned X-Men 97, again, coming back to Disney. Based on what I'm seeing on the internet, it's coming this fall 2023, and that it stands to be a continuation of right where it was left off in season 5.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious what it's been like for you to step back into a character where you left off with him 26 years later. What's different? What's changed in your experience doing Wolverine?
It was very weird because we're in the same studio.
No
Wow.
kidding.
Yeah, very same studio. Different engineers, of course, but it's just this is two weird fellas. And it was just, and of course, I'm dealing with, not when we did it before, of course, they were all in Toronto, and their voice director was there, Dan Hennessy, and, great guy, and he could just tell you, do this, do that with Wolverine, this is how he's feeling. Now they're on a camera, and they're in LA, and they're wonderful, and it's no different because I'm just looking at a TV screen. But I couldn't. And it was when I first started it again. The first episode I did, even the head writer was just when I opened my yap and said whatever the first line was, because I would just practice doing lines just to get back into the voice.
Sure.
Tell Cyclops I made him a convertible just to get me into it. He was just like this. Oh,
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
the head writer, and I'm like, I said, is it cold where you are? He said, oh, no, it's not cold. It's actually rather hot right now. So, and it was like so cool. And I said, well, let's get going on this, people. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. It was like, because when it stopped, it was like losing my best friend or my brother or my left arm or something. You know, it was just like, what? After 5 years, like, I don't have to go next week to do more of this. He's gone. Oh, yeah, he's gone. But not forgotten, bub. So I was so glad when that came back. And it was all the fans. And that I know for a fact that this was the fans doing, because we kept doing this at Comic Cons. We'd say, please, we'd have a in the room where you get, George and I would go and
like panels?
And they, thank you. Oh my God.
You're fine.
Panel, and they'd ask all these kind of questions. We say, we talked to them, of course, it's the same kind of questions, and said, you have to start bugging Disney because they've been threatening for the last year and a half. And this went on for another year and a half after this, of us saying that, and it worked. Disney said these people want this show back with the same Wolverine, like for sure the same Wolverine, and as many of the original cast as they can get. Excuse me. And so they did, and it's like this is unbelievable, and
it is remarkable
because of the fans. Oh yeah, because the fans did that. I mean, there's no question. Disney said, "Well, this looks like a moneymaker." I said, "Duh." An unbelievable series that you think that these people have forgotten, and now it's their children. Those guys who were 7 to 10 years of age are now 35 to 40 years of age, and they have. And I see this at Comic Cons, and it just makes me fucking grin. Sorry, excuse me.
No,
makes me grin. Makes me grin because they got their kid in tow, and I have freaked out so many fathers. He's got his kid in his arms. The kid's like 4. He's not 5, but he knows that he's got a Wolverine little claw in his hand and stuff. And I'm this side of him, and they're taking a picture. There's his wife or someone, is taking a picture, or the handler that I have at the thing desk is taking a picture of us. And I'm this way at this kid, and he's right here at 4. Who, by the way, is named Logan. There are so many fathers that named their child Logan. We're going to have, we've actually advertised this. We're going to have a special Comic-Con for children named Logan.
Oh,
there'd be thousands of them.
I was going to say it's going to be packed.
Yeah.
So we did a regular picture, and I got my arm around with my claw and stuff. And I said, okay, take another one. So the little kid's here, and he's like 4 or 5, like I said. And I leaned over as he's taking a shot, and I kissed him on the cheek and hold it there while taking the picture. And the father goes, holy shit, I can't believe this. Wolverine kissed my son. Wolverine kissed my son. Logan kissed Logan. They just lose it, and it's such, makes me so happy to see them like that, and they are.
I can imagine. Well, yeah. I mean, what an incredible feeling. People are coming to you over and over saying, I named my kid after you. Like you said earlier, you changed my life, all that stuff. I've shown you to my, my kids. It's incredible, I would imagine. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is. And like I said, there are thousands of children named Logan after this series. Because, their fathers now can't wait for this xmen 97 to come out to watch it with their sons and daughters now, together. It's new. It's going to be brand new to all of them. And it's going to be it's going to be fantastic for them and for the series. So Disney,
that would be incredible. And if it, I don't know why I'm sitting here saying if it's a hit, it's going to be a hit. Hopefully they do the same thing with Spider-Man. You were in that too as Wolverine in a few episodes, right? The Spider-Man cartoon that was on around the same time. It would be cool to see that one come back as well. But
for sure.
I mean, X-Men,
yeah, we did an episode with them, like in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, Wolverine was in Spider-Man. I don't know who else was in it. I think it was just Wolverine and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a couple of, because Wolverine has the best lines and the funniest lines, and he doesn't even pretend he's not being funny, but it's just ridiculously funny. and I forget what he called the web spinner or the something, the lines that they could have written for that only Wolverine can say. But as he says to Captain America when they're in Germany, before Wolverine even has these things, before Wolverine has these, implanted into his body or any of the adamantium, he's all dressed in black. And I like that episode because I got to do it like a Humphrey Bogart. He's jumping, and he's got a toque on, a black toque with a black jacket. And he's jumping on the roofs and stuff. And he said, I'm in there looking after the Crouch man, wandering around the place, trying to get my angle of see what's happening with these goose steppers. And, like that, as like a commentator. It was so cool to be able to do that. And then he ends up fighting two guards or something over a little kid that's dropped something, and the Krauts are going to try and arrest him or take him away, the little kid. And Wolverine, of course, takes care of that situation. But all of a sudden, this shield comes through and knocks over a couple more of them, and it's missed Captain America. And so they introduce themselves, and as they're walking along, because now they're going to work together. And he says, "The name's Captain America." And Wolverine's walking behind him and says, "You're kidding." So Captain America gives them these things, like a couple of, but they're shorter versions. They have to scale this huge cliff to get up to the top to get where they're going. And so he hands these things to Wolverine, and Wolverine puts them on, which I think is so clever, the writing and stuff. And they get up to climbing up, and of course, as they climb up, he can't leave this alone, Wolverine. And you're thinking, Wolverine, why would he ever say this? Looks over at Spider-Man, at Captain America, and says, talking about his uniforms. He said, "Yeah, it's the colors of the U.S." He's saying it's the colors. He said, "Yeah, again, duh." He said, as he waits like two punches up the climbing up thing, and he says, "What's it made of anyway? It's got to itch." What's it made of anyway? It's got to itch. What? What did you say? And they got to the top. and he gives these back to Captain America, and he says, "Those things could come in handy." Like foreshadowing. Those things come in handy. Oh, you think?
There was another bit of foreshadowing there too, because that same scene you're talking about, where he questions Captain America about the outfit too. He's like, "What's with the stars and stripes, Bob?" or something like that, and he says something to the effect of, "I want people when they see it to be reminded of what they're fighting for, what it represents and stuff." And he says something to the effect like, "You'd never catch me in something like that." And then years later, he's wearing the bright yellow. He gets it years later.
I think that episode was called Old Soldiers.
Yeah.
It starts off in a graveyard. It starts off in a graveyard. Because I did on a TV show a guest appearance on the Alan Hamill show, or Alan Thicke show, and I played the piano, and it was based in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I played the piano and sang this Elton John song called "Talking Old Soldiers," which I love that tune. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's a great song.
I don't recall it by the name. No.
Yeah, it's called "Old Soldiers." No, Old Soldiers. Well, hello, shaking a bayou, another glass of beer. Well, thanks a lot. That's kind of you. It's nice to know you care these days. Yeah, "Talking Old Soldiers" is what it's called.
When you say Alan Thicke show, are you referring to The Thick of the Night? Man, that's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gilbert Gottfried did work on that show too, if I remember correctly. But
no, that's a no. Alan Thicke had a talk show. It was Alan Hamill before him who married the beautiful blonde from Three's Company,
Suzanne Summers.
Thank you. Yes, was married to Alan Hamill.
I can't remember.
Anyway, so after Alan Hamill, because I was on that Alan Hamill show with Pierre Burton, with Raymond Burr, Ironside.
Oh, okay.
That's another story. So, and then it became the Alan Thicke show. We had it for about 2 years, and with singers, people like Raymond Burr and stuff on it. Then I just played the piano and sang this really sad song, "Talking Old Soldiers," Elton John.
I'm going to see if I can find that online.
But
I'd like to see
yeah,
that.
but because at the beginning of that episode, it's like Wolverine's over standing with his claws and he's swearing at the sign of the because he didn't know yet that the guy that was this girl's father was a double agent. And they said the guys, three other soldiers come up to him and say, because they're saying about going to a bistro for a beer or something, and they just turn around and see him and said, "Hey, that looks like," and they walk over to Wolverine, and he said, "Excuse me, Bub, I don't mean to bother." He said, and Wolverine, of course, in his polite manner, like, "Something I can help you with, Bub." And of course, he hadn't aged, and it's been 30 years or something, but he didn't age, Wolverine. He said, "Oh,
Right.
you look just like him. You could be his brother or something." Wolverine, "Yeah, or something." And then they walk away. And he says, "I sure would like to join you, Ernie, in that bistro, but I got something to do anyway." I like that episode as well, very much.
It's a good episode. Very, very good. So one of my favorites, but
yeah, old soldiers. Are you guys watching the Super Bowl or anything?
Me personally, no, I'm not into sports ball really. Maybe commercials I'll watch tomorrow after they're on YouTube. Yeah. But what about you?
Oh yeah, but see, we don't get the commercials that you guys get because it's just your local stuff, and it's like
really
big deal because we have to wait till like a month from now when they show all those great commercials.
Yeah,
what I like to do is Donna, my wife, she's been cooking for a day and a half. We used to go to a buddy's place and it was just a great party, and everyone had to bring a dish, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And the game was incidental. It was just boom, 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 and food, wings, the stuff you're not supposed to eat.
Yeah.
Wings and more wings and more beer with wings, and then wings with more beer.
Now you're talking my language. That's the kind of football
big
I like.
time. Yeah, see here. So listen, make sure you get me the address so I can send the CD.
Yeah, I'll get it to you immediately after we get off of here. And I just want to remind the listeners really quick to check out Cal at caldodd.com and on social media at Real Cal Dodd. And you're on Cameo as well. People can get a personalized Wolverine video from Cal on Cameo. And once again, C2E2 Chicago, March 31st through April 2nd. You can go meet Cal in person, and one of these days we need to get there.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and also since COVID started March 2020, I believe.
Right.
I decided I had I won't get into the goose thing, but there was a goose that had eggs and laid eggs right on the property, and I named her and named the husband that she called her husband, and the gander, and she would have like 3, 4, 5 little ones, and then they'd stay until they grew up to be like this big. Anyway, long story. I started singing to her, and I would post just little songs like "You Are So Beautiful" because she was a goose. Anyway, people like my producer of the circus TV show years ago said, "Would you please put yourself on camera, sing these songs?" So as of that, a week after that, so middle of March, maybe the end of March, and I have been posting at least two songs every day. I'm over 1,000 songs. This is on Facebook.
Wow. I'm going to check that out.
I'm over 1,000 songs, and I get through. You pay $1, $2 for the tracks, and they're great tracks, and I just sing, and it's fantastic. And I'm underneath. There's a huge pool cover over my pool, like a structure, like a big structure. It's not a plastic thing, and that has a little bit of an echo to it, which is perfect. So check that out, and you can friend me, and you can watch them all. And there's over I'm at 1,000 songs.
That sounds awesome. Freaking sweet. Yeah, I definitely am going to be checking that out. Amazing.
Talkers, like all that kind of stuff.
Well, Cal,
and a lot of country stuff too, because I love country. I love Garth Brooks.
Oh, really?
And what's his name? I love him. I love all those guys. I love country. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of good country artists out there. It's got to be very specific for me sometimes. I hate like newer age country stuff, where they just sing
Vince Gill. I do a lot of Vince Gill stuff, and like I said, and Kenny Rogers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
especially when you get this, if you get a lot of that, like you painted up your lips and rolled in curly tinted hair, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But you'd love it. So I'm up to 1,000 tunes, and it's just Cal Dodd, CALDODD.
All right. I definitely will check that out. Man, I'm excited. A lot of music.
Yeah.
to check out.
Yeah, that is a lot of music.
Anyway,
Okay.
Cal, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to sit here and talk with you for an hour, man. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here.
You're so welcome. You guys are the best, and do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hey, we'll do it again after the Disney airs some
Yes.
episodes or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah,
Because
then
I
we
want
can-
to know what I want to get your reaction to that, to the new stuff.
Okay.
It's a date, man.
Oh.
We'll do it.
Oh yeah, and remember I said what's his name? The with the long purple tail.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Remember I said Nightcrawler.
All right, man. Well, we definitely will have you back. Can't wait to have that conversation, man. But until then, thank you so much,
yeah.
Cal. It's been
You
amazing.
are
It was
so
great
welcome.
talking to you.
You're so
Thanks,
welcome.
Cal.
It's time to drink beer.
There you go.
There you go.
Enjoy it. I'll
Thank-
have one as well.
Okay, Jeremy.
Have a
Bye,
good one,
Randy.
Cal.
You guys-
Thank you.
See you later.
Later.
Cal.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone, and once again, that was our conversation with Cal Dodd. I want to thank him so much again for stopping by, because what a great conversation that was for so many reasons. Hearing his family's musical history, him touring with Joe Cocker, what it was like to step back into Wolverine. Great conversation, and I know there's a lot more we could get out of him if we had a little more time, so hopefully we get that set up in the future. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out Cal's socials at Real Cal Dodd and his website, caldodd.com. A lot of cool stuff on there, so be sure to check it out. And then after you do, go check out our website, cannedairpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter at CannedAirPod, on Instagram at canned_air, and on TikTok at CannedAirPodcast. And on our website, there's a few different ways you can support us, a merch tab and a Patreon tab. One gets you t-shirts, hats, mugs, stickers, stuff like that. The other one gets you extra content. Pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to waste a lot of your time rambling that stuff off. And once again, evergreenpodcast.com, the network we're on with a lot of other fantastic shows. We're very proud to be on the Evergreen Podcast Network, so check them out. Once again, evergreenpodcast.com. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. Again, big thanks to Cal for stopping by and hanging out with us for a little bit. And until next time, I am Jeremy Colley. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and be excellent to each other.